It is April 5th, 1942, and for the first time in the entire war, a little bit of morale finally arrives from my Russian army. But first, a recap of my enemy's actions. Starting in the south, near the city of Grozny, rains have begun, but this does not keep the Axis forces from forcing the surrender of an isolated Russian infantry division and moving forward along my lines, engaging in one combat south of the city itself. They're not able to move forward because of the rains, and we're starting to receive mud in this area, so that keeps it relatively quiet. Moving to the city of Stalingrad, he continues to move forward. A majority of his forces do not appear to be in the area, but this does not prevent him from doing 2 attacks. The results are minor, but it does force me to retreat 1 hex. Moving up along the lines towards the city of Tambov, another 5 engagements happens this week. All of them successful on his part. A couple of my infantry divisions get rather beat up pretty badly in this area, but this does represent the entire action for this turn. And while I am expecting the combat in the Moscow theater to intensify as the months continue to progress, I'm assuming he's waiting for the grounds to get a little bit clearer, more solid for his 4,000 plus AFV that he's brought to the map. This break in action plus the minor amount of combat that he's done has only resulted in 55,000 casualties. And with what I've chosen to do last week, which is bring pretty much everything, for the most part, that has any sort of strength out of my reserve box onto the map, you're looking at an increase of 180,000 Russian soldiers. Now, normally I'd be really happy about this, except for the fact that, unbeknownst to myself, I decided to choose the week that Stalin decides that the Northern Front needs 50 more combat value. But the 1 AP and 1 victory point penalty for this is not something that I'm too worried about at this point in time. The main issue and storyline of this week is near the city of Astrakhan. It was here on the 29th of March that the 3rd Motorized Corps sent 2 motorized divisions to try to take the city, thinking that I would have nothing in the area. I was able to move some rather weak cavalry around, and I did end up cutting them off at the end of my turn last week. This created the question of what could he accomplish with 7 days, and the answer was only moving up a rather weak Finnish infantry division to try to alleviate them, which they did not do. So at the beginning of April 5th, this became priority number 1 for the Russian army, starting with the Air Force. Now, there's no way he has any ability to really fly anything here, so I bring everything I have in the area to bear on these 2 divisions. The rest of my Air Force is focusing mostly on this Panzer division that's low on supplies. My level bombers are grounded because I do not build them that fast, so I'm trying to protect them. And this is mostly done with the biplanes that are tactical bombers, the U-2VSs and I think it's the IL-2s. Yeah, the IL-4s are the level bomber. The rest of the attacks come on a few infantry divisions that are attacking the Stalingrad area, and then it's just a matter of looking at the results. And I was right that he did not fly much this turn, so only 77 lost aircraft is fine with me. And what we're looking at right now is the results of the attack on that Panzer division near Grozny. 1 tank, 3 guns, I'll take it. But the more important results. Moving up to the 2 motorized divisions that are attacking Astrakhan, what we're looking at right now is the 36th Division. It gets hit 6 times, about 300 men and 4 guns. The 25th Division, though, gets hit 8 times at the results of 7 guns and about 500 men. Now, this forces the 57th Army to move into action, and I'm just going to bring everything I have in this area to bear. This is an opportunity I can't pass on, so we're going to move in, we're going to surround it. With ultimately the 2nd Cavalry Corps and the 224th Rifle Division being the main hammer that falls down on these out-of-supply, completely cut-off troops. And the battle is quick and effective. I lose 261 men, I do lose 18 tanks and 2 guns, but he loses, weirdly it says 109 and 8,000 men, but the total says 96, 77, and 114. So I don't understand the discrepancy, but regardless of the numbers, this is a lot just with 1 unit. And I still have the 61st to maneuver into position to try to duplicate and do the same thing. Here I was a little bit more worried though, with the terrain being not quite as nice to me. The Volga River being there, the swamps. I was unsure how this was gonna go. And being that I could only get a hair under 4-to-1 odds, even with cutoff, I will admit I was nervous. But I did not realize how weak this unit was at this point in time. And although this attack does cost a lot of AFV, I can rebuild that. Between these two, this is 15,000 Germans and 200 of his guns. This also, at this point in time, protects Astrakhan. I'm not sure what he has coming up in the 3rd Motorized Corps. I highly doubt it's just the 2 divisions plus this Finnish division. But I am moving some brigades down here and a couple divisions, and I'm going to shore up my defenses in this area. But this does embolden me to do a little bit more action on my side of my turn. And this will be at Stalingrad itself. I've had these 3 Guards rifle divisions here getting stronger for the last several weeks, and I think it's time to use them. So they're looking at 2 infantry divisions. The first combat goes rather decently. He loses another 500 men and 22 more guns. I then maneuver around to strike out a second time on this other infantry division in the hopes to try to push back his lines a little bit. I also capture a depot, but I highly doubt that he has much there at this point in time. The second combat also goes very well for me. I do get him to retreat as well. It's the 205th Infantry Division, 12,000 plus strong, so it seems to be relatively at full strength. I do take out another 22 guns and a little over 550 men. So it's at this point, moving west of Stalingrad, with this success that I've had on the ground so far, I'm starting to get a little emboldened. I'm noticing that his lines are kind of spaced out 2 hexes apart from each other. I can't get around him because I don't have as strong enough cavalry in the area, but it does indicate that he's probably not as strong in this area at this point in time. So I'm going to pick on this 7-7 Infantry Division. This will begin with the 9th Army. I'm sending 6 divisions, 61,000 men at his 15,000. The results are beneficial. He does retreat. I get 628 more men and 39 more guns. I then fall the 9th Army back into its original lines in preparation for what will probably be a counterattack next turn. I then move the 40th Army up. I also hit the same infantry division that I just did. This is a rather quick engagement. This forces him to retreat again. It only takes out 500 men and another 16 guns. So for the most part, that's the activity of this turn. I'm very, very pleased with it. Other than that, the only other thing to really name on the majority line is you'll notice as I transition to the ending image, a lot of the areas around Tambov are now 2-tiered. I'm not going to proclaim that they're strong units, but they're at least, I believe, in a position where he's not going to be able to get in around and encircle too much, and hopefully they'll dig in and get strong in the next couple weeks. In the south here, the weather's on my side. You'll see the mud. I'm hoping that sticks around for most of April. I have entrenched myself a little bit further in around Grozny. I don't think he's going to be able to attack next turn, but he could easily prove me wrong. I have railed 4 new divisions up into Makakala in an effort to reinforce in case he does push through. Best case scenario, we kind of sit tight for a week or 2, and worst case, I have to scramble next week. But either way, this is what I have accomplished on this turn. I am very happy with it, as I've said earlier. I'm going to hand it back to my opponent, and I'm going to relax and have a toast to the first victory that I've had this entire war.